Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Droid Life Show today, episode 134. It's Friday, February 17th. I'm Kellen. With me is Tim. Tim's there.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here.
So we're talking, well, the big story, I guess, right now is unlimited data. So it's sort of weird to think here that unlimited data is now fully back. You can get an unlimited data plan today from all four major carriers and at prices that aren't ridiculous by any means. So we want to talk a lot about that, but there's some other stuff too. Like I've got LG Watch Style on wrist, and Tim probably has Watch Sport potentially. Yes, there it is. So we want to talk about those a little bit. We've been wearing them for basically the past week. And then just round out any rumors and other things going on. Moto G5 has surfaced, and you can make payments through Google Home and buy things like you could on Amazon's Echo. So anyways, lots to talk about, but the big story of the week is obviously unlimited data. So
What year is it?
yeah, I know it's sort of hard to figure out where to start, but if you go back last year, right? So T-Mobile introduces T-Mobile One, and it's like they're unlimited, and there was like all these issues with it, and we complained a lot about it initially, and like they had to tweak it like within a day and add like some plus features and this stuff, and they've slowly made changes. And it was unlimited. And we say that with quotes because it was like not even HD video streaming, and the tethering wasn't really there, except it was like, I think 2G initially. And then after complaints, they allowed you to toggle on HD video if you wanted, like daily, and pay for it, or you could upgrade to a plus plan and get it. And then I think they bumped up the tethering to 3G unless you went with the plus plan, which was an extra $25, and then you could tether all you wanted. So anyways, it was technically unlimited, but it had its like sort of quirks and things we needed to mention. And like within days, it actually might've been the next day, actually Sprint announced their own version of similar unlimited plan, except it had even more of these asterisks. And it was like, it just came off even sleazier. And we were kind of going, all right, is this really the future of unlimited, where it's not really, it's like fake unlimited, right? So anyway, months went by, and then Verizon out of nowhere this weekend goes, hey, we're bringing unlimited back. And their unlimited plan is similar to T-Mobile's, except they didn't do the like HD limitation. They just said, we're going to stream video at whatever the content provider sends you, which could be 4K, 1080p, 480p, whatever. And then they also said, and we're throwing in 10 gig of hotspot data. And it's a better plan than what T-Mobile was offering, and Sprint. They were charging $80 for a single line, or if you had multiple lines, it basically started at 140. So T-Mobile then like a day later goes, oh, really, Verizon? Yeah, you just copied us. And then they just blatantly copy whatever Verizon just did. And it's like this back and forth on who's copying who. And either way, everyone's probably copying everyone. But so T-Mobile then matches Verizon. And then Sprint, of course, had to do the same. They tried anyway, not necessarily the same. And then AT&T's like, well, what about us? And they've had this unlimited plan for a while, but you had to be a DirecTV subscriber in order to get it. So today they lifted that requirement, and now any AT&T customer can sign up for unlimited, except it doesn't have tethering. So it's like a lot to take in. There's now you could ditch your plan at any carrier and now get unlimited if you want. You're a GoPhone customer. Are you about ready to drop old GoPhone and jump on some unlimited action at AT&T or something, or T-Mobile or Verizon? I don't know. Like you're one of those customers that could maybe switch because you're up on prepaid.
Yeah, that'll never happen. I'm super happy with GoPhone. AT&T hasn't given me any reason to ditch it, and they only make it better, it seems. I started my GoPhone plan when they were doing like 4 gigs of data, and now it's all the way up to 8, and my price hasn't changed at all. So
yeah, what do you pay? 55 with auto pay or something?
Yeah, 55 a month with auto pay. I get 8 gigs of data, and that's like more than enough for me. So I'm loving life right now as a GoPhone user.
And don't you have tethering in that too?
Tethering's included, yeah, but that's something else that I don't use. Like, I guess
Yeah,
is
but like if you needed it in a pinch, it might be nice. But
yeah, sure. Yeah, for the most part, I have no regrets when it comes to using GoPhone, and I don't see myself switching, especially unlimited. I mean, really, so for unlimited, I guess I understand the benefits for some people, especially getting over 20 gigs of high-speed data. But all the other stuff that's kind of thrown in on the different carriers, I'm not really like in need of or anything. So, I mean, it's different for you and I, maybe because we sit at home on Wi-Fi all day. So if you're out and about on the work site and all that, and you want to down or stream some Netflix or whatever, it might be pretty good for you. But I guess just for me personally, not necessary.
Yeah, and AT&T in particular wouldn't be good for you because I think it's $100 for the first line, which is expensive,
It is
and
expensive.
and
These
there's
plans
no
are expensive.
tethering. So like right now, you pay half that, and you probably rarely even use 8 gig of data, I would imagine, and you
Mm,
don't need tethering, but you have it if you needed it, and you wouldn't with this unlimited plan.
right. And then I don't go to Canada or Mexico all too often, although I have been contemplating the U.S. departure and just heading to Mexico and living there for a while. But so some of the like that international roaming and stuff, that's not necessarily a feature that I need
I think you might have it
either. But
anyway, to be
exactly,
honest.
but
Yeah,
that's already in my GoPhone plan. So
yeah,
really, the unlimited, that isn't even unlimited. I mean, okay, technically it's unlimited, but like at what cost? At what speed, right? So
yeah.
I just don't see it. The Verizon plan, when they're laid out, it seems like the most appropriate or the most like unlimited, right? You're not going to be seeing any throttling on the data you receive. So unlike T-Mobile, who kind of throttles your video quality, Verizon is just providing whatever the content provider gives them, and there's no tampering going on. So
Well, so T-Mobile says that's what they're going to do now. Like because Verizon said we were just streaming it at whatever, and AT&T or T-Mobile got that backlash. Now they're doing the same, and they're using the same terminology, the streaming as whatever the content provider does. But you have to initially, when you sign up for it, you have to toggle binge on off, and
yeah.
then it should stay rather than like toggling it every day like you had to do on the Plus plan. Apparently, you can just toggle it once and it'll stay off. At least that's what they're telling us.
Good move by T-Mobile, I guess. So T-Mobile gave us these one plans, and now Verizon's there with unlimited. It just seems odd that T-Mobile maybe didn't start this from the beginning, right? And I know you made this argument in an article, and you got some flack for it because
Oh, yeah,
obviously,
everyone's like, "Oh, you're getting paid by
yeah,
Verizon.
Verizon obviously pays you.
T-Mobile is not the copycat." Yeah,
It's just odd, right? I mean, I see it as a good thing, right? Because all these carriers are now offering better plans for
yeah,
consumers,
for sure.
right? So competition is good, but at the same time, why is T-Mobile saying, "No, we're going to one up you for the same price," when they could? That's what they could have been doing in the first place, and it's better for consumers, right? It's just a weird. It's optics, right? And you mentioned that too. I think more down in the comments of it. It's
Yeah,
optics, and you want to be the Batman of the carriers and stuff like. Then just offer the best thing you can for that price
yeah.
from the get go. Don't modify. That's just our belief.
Yeah, so I did write an article about it. I said that T-Mobile basically caved in and copied Verizon and dropped all of their stupid limitations on their unlimited, and everyone's was like, "What do you mean?" Like T-Mobile apparently has fans like HTC does. They're like really rabid, and every time we say anything about them, they just get really mad. So
It's cult like.
yeah, so T-Mobile. The thing is, like, I was making the argument for T-Mobile customers, which they don't understand. They assumed I was like attacking them or something, and yeah, what I was saying is T-Mobile immediately, like within, I think 12. No, well, Verizon announced the plan on Sunday, made it available Monday, and by I think Monday afternoon, T-Mobile announced what their changes were. So they had it was like they had this ready and the capability, and they instantly just said, "Oh, Verizon, you want to do that? We can do that too," and just matched it. And my point is that I think it's horseshit that that's how T-Mobile works. Like John Ledger runs around like he's wireless Batman or pink Batman or whatever he calls himself. And I think he's done some changes. And while he introduced unlimited first again and all this stuff, deserves total credit for that. And I'm willing to give him credit for that. The point is that he nickel and dimes his customers with all these little things. Like he comes off like, "Oh, I'm so awesome." And he's constantly like nickel and diming with these weird little things that are issues, and he won't fix them. And then like, remember, I think it was binge on initially, all the massive backlash. And like he yelled at like who was it? It was one of those like groups that speaks for customers. I can't think of it. It was the whatever Frontier. I can't remember their name, but like remember like he was like he couldn't take criticism and he threw this big fit. And so it's like his whole shtick just drives me nuts. And with this, it was like the perfect example of he's had this plan which he thought was so great and was the best thing ever. And then Verizon upped him and he took the turn then to like trash Verizon for copying him, except Verizon's plan was better. And then he matched it as in, "Oh yeah, we can just match that." But like if you're so great and you're so wonderful to your customers, why are you nickel and diming until Verizon one ups you? Like that's the complete opposite of like what you're trying to tell us all. And so it kind of pissed me off a little bit. And I was trying to stick up for the fact that T-Mobile customers should be pissed that all it takes in order for them to get proper features is Verizon to come one up T-Mobile and then they change. Like if I was a T-Mobile customer, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, dude, thank you with a middle finger. Like I'm glad that you made the change, John, but F you for not making this from the get-go. And so yeah, T-Mobile customers clearly didn't get that. But like you said, I mentioned in the comments, it's this optics thing, right? It just looks terrible, dude. And I know he rah-rahs it up and makes a big show out of it, but to anyone actually paying attention, John Ledger does some shady dealings here and there that just aren't good for customers until they finally are when he caves in. So
Oh my.
God, I got a lot to
Shade.
say.
Shade getting thrown.
It's just like we get it. You set unlimited again, even though it's like it was the fakest unlimited plan ever, right? And the backlash was so bad on it that they had to like change everything within a day. And then they changed some more stuff later. I think it was at CES or somewhere. Maybe no, it was right before CES. And it was like, okay, if this is the greatest plan ever, why is there now like 3 options and it was supposed to just be one? And why is it that you constantly have to change all of this stuff because everyone's complaining and now you're copying Verizon? So yeah, I just get sick of the like, we're the kings, we make change. There was a time where T-Mobile actually ushered in a lot of change, and I appreciate some of the changes, but this is not necessarily one of them. So, anyways, there's unlimited everywhere, and I would say the 2 best options are Verizon's or T-Mobile's. I mean, they are, I think, the best choices. Verizon's single line plan at $80 is a pretty good deal. Like if you don't need other people attached to your account, like $80 is a pretty good, like I signed up for it because I killed my grandfather one a while ago. I don't know if I ever like announced that officially, but it was like $140 for me to have a grandfathered unlimited data. It was stupid. So I actually canceled that, went to prepaid Verizon at one point. And then when this single line came out, I already signed up for it because $80 and I can tether and whatever. But T-Mobile, like they're doing 2 lines right now for $100, and that includes all the fees and taxes because that's one of the things they announced at CES. Like that's a pretty good deal if you have good T-Mobile service.
Yeah, no, I agree. If my house was not a complete T-Mobile black hole, I might think about it, and then maybe see if there's someone else who like wants to go in on it with me or something. But I'm fine with GoPhone. I don't have anyone else to deal with, right? So
Well, that's one of those things. Like you seem like you're in this position where like you're just satisfied with your Go phone service and you haven't had a reason to change. Like there's some people I think that aren't in that situation, right?
yeah.
Like they switched to T-Mobile because it was cheaper and the coverage sucked. And then they went back to Verizon, it was too expensive. So maybe they gave Sprint a run. I think there's people that dive around and try to find the I'm one of those people that like if you have service that works for you, like that's what you should use.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I see some people in the chat saying, "Oh, I've got 5 lines." These people with families, right? And that's got to be hard. Luckily, I don't. I'm not going through any of that type of stuff yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, the family plan stuff. I mean, phones can be expensive if your whole family. I can't imagine like if you had a family of 4 or 5 and everyone had a phone, that your bill's pretty steep. So, like when T-Mobile's throwing out like $160 for 4 lines, and that includes the taxes, that's a pretty damn good deal.
Yeah, but then so say like my sister, for example, she's got a family of 4, and only 3 of them have phones right now. But not only does she have to pay for service on Verizon, but then also they have device payment
Oh
plans for
yeah,
like
I
all
didn't even
3
think
of their
about that.
devices. iPhone, 2 iPhones, a Galaxy S7, like it all adds up, man. She's paying hundreds of dollars a month. It's like, dude.
That is crazy. That's one of those things about the 2-year contract that used to be nice for people is they could throw down like when like somebody's running a deal on a new flagship, you could throw down $100, lock in on a 2-year contract, and you don't have to pay for that phone. I mean, I know they kind of they coupled in like the charge of the phone with the service, right?
All right.
But it was different than like it all separate. And now you see like exactly, you're like, I pay $200 a month for all these damn phones. And then I also pay another 150 for the service. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's rough.
expensive stuff.
Yeah. It's great though. Like I said, anything that helps the consumers get a better deal, I'm all for, right? So that competition in the marketplace, it's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, right now, if you're a wireless customer and you want to use lots of data, I mean, you could use, so they all have a cap, right? Like Verizon's is, if you hit 22, AT&T's is 22, T-Mobile's is 28. Sprint's is 23. So if you use that, like if a single line uses 22 gig in a month, they could potentially use network management on you, which would be throttling you depending on where you are.
Right.
It's tough to say like how often that actually happens. I don't think a lot of people actually ever hit those numbers, so we don't know. Like we don't have people flooding our emails with I'm getting throttled all the time. We rarely see it, so it's tough to say how often they do that. And they say they'll only do that when you're attached to a congested network spot or something like that. But if you were in a city, like say you were in downtown San Francisco and you use 22 gigs in a month, you're probably going to be throttled all the time, I would imagine,
I
because
can
there's
see
just
that.
always people on all those towers. So,
Yeah.
but otherwise, there aren't that many issues with these plans. Like Verizon's is unlimited data, 10 gig tethering, and after the 10 gig, it's 3G speeds, which are terrible. But look, they're still 3G, not 2G, like T-Mobile or like Sprint does. They don't mess with your video content at all. They give you calling and texting to and from Mexico. AT&T's similar. They just don't have tethering. T-Mobile's is, it's pretty comparable to Verizon's at this point because they finally matched all of the features and stuff. And Sprint's like, look, Sprint's don't sign up for Sprints. Okay, I shouldn't say don't sign up for Sprints, but here's the deal. Sprint's offering 4 lines for $90. So $50 for the first line, $40 for the second, and they're giving you the third and fourth line for free. Except that price only lasts for 1 year.
Is it even available to current customers or just new customers?
I think it's available to everyone, but I don't necessarily know that for sure. But you start at $90, and then a year in, I mean, you could do the math. So a year in, the first line jumps to 60, the second line stays at 40, and then each line after that's 30. So you went from 90 to 160. No, 107. No, 160. Like overnight. Like you're going to wake up on April 1st in 2018, and it's not going to be a joke that your bill is like doubled, basically.
It's a little rough. I mean, and it appears that they're the only ones who are throttling music streaming, gaming.
Yeah. And they only do 1080p video.
Right. And they don't offer Canada and Mexico roaming.
Like at all, from what I can tell, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess if you were sort of weighing your options, yeah, maybe not. Stay
and they do 10 gig tethering, but then afterwards they actually drop you to 2G, which is basically like not having an internet connection.
Oh.
So, it's Sprint.
That WiMAX.
But yeah, I would say that the two best plans are Verizon and T-Mobile's. AT&T's is just expensive, and then there's no tethering involved. So
yeah, it's
at least with T-Mobile and Verizon, you get AT&T seems like the forgotten carrier. I feel like I know they're huge. They're number 2, or depending on the numbers, they might argue they're bigger than Verizon. But doesn't it feel like AT&T is like the forgotten carrier? We rarely talk about AT&T stuff. Like I feel like they don't do as many of like the gimmicky plans and stuff. Like even Verizon lately has been like throwing out features and stuff.
Maybe, but I mean, if you want to talk forgotten carrier, it's got to be Sprint. Like I just
Well, I think we talk about Sprint because they're doing a new gimmick like every week, right? But like AT&T, I feel like they never do anything. I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. I just feel like we don't really talk about them that much.
Well, they have been doing a lot of stuff lately. I mean, they got that DirecTV Now stuff, and they're always trying
5G tests.
Yeah, they're always trying to pimp their DirecTV like subscriptions on top of cell service. Like, I mean, they got stuff going on.
Maybe that's why we stopped talking about them, because we got sick of them greasily like adding in DirecTV, and we're like, just stop.
Yeah, I mean,
TV stuff.
Yeah, up here in the Pacific Northwest, where we got Comcast and stuff, we just don't really care about DirecTV. They're just not a huge player up here.
Yeah.
So they're here, but I mean, Comcast rules. So
yes, Comcast does. Not in a good way.
Not in a good way. They just rule the
land. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's unlimited. It's everywhere. So yeah, if you are in need of a new wireless carrier plan, just go to whatever your choice is, and they have an unlimited plan for you today, which is kind of crazy. I mean, it was like just yesterday we were paying like hundreds of dollars, I feel like, for 4 gig of data. Remember when they first brought in the tiers, and it was like 4 gig of data for like $150, I swear. I don't remember how much, but it seemed so expensive.
It was when data became the actual, like, the primary thing about a plan and wasn't about minutes anymore. Like, data was freaking expensive.
Yeah, I remember when they finally made it unlimited talk and text. And then they were like, yeah, but you have to pay a lot for like 1 gig of data. And we're like, wait a minute. This
When
is
did
all what
this
we want to
happen?
use. And they were like,
Yeah.
haha, we got you.
Yeah, we need apps and internet.
They started tricking people off of unlimited data plans.
Yeah. Martrell in the comments says Sprint isn't that bad. I haven't used Sprint like in a long time
Yeah, to be
because
fair, it's been a while that you and I.
exactly. And I almost feel like I should go into a Sprint store, open a line, and just like test it and like see how
See if it's
bad or how
changed.
good it is. I mean, it's totally possible. I haven't heard of them investing any money into like their network at all, unlike T-Mobile they're always touting how much money they've spent on their network. We'll see. It's totally possible that Sprint has changed, but
Sprint
honestly,
does. It doesn't get as much play as T-Mobile does, but they are doing some improvements, I believe.
we'll see.
Maybe.
Maybe that could be. I don't know when Good Friday is, but I could do like that 40 days of Sprint or something, and I don't know.
I just remember, I think it was the Note 2, Note 3. Maybe it was the Note 3, and you had a Sprint version.
Oh, yeah.
And you and I were in downtown. I think we've shared this story before, but we were in downtown Portland. We were in the Pearl District at a restaurant, like just chilling, like kind of looking at the phone, testing it, and we couldn't even get out of three. I don't even know if it had 3G.
Mm.
And you were just like, I can't believe I have to test this thing on Sprint. And this was probably what, like, if it was the Note 2, that's obviously like 4 years ago or something, 5 years ago. But it was that bad, and everyone else had LTE at that point. Like
Yeah.
everyone else was basically LTE everywhere, and Sprint was like 3G maybe.
It was, I think it was like 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years tops. But whenever HTC put out that One Max, like that huge phone, I had that on Sprint, and I was out at my old house in it was Beaverton, like right by Intel. Like I know there's LTE everywhere out there, and they had that. Oh crap, I forget what it's called, but it was like a sun icon or something. It was like their Sprint Boost or Spark.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and I couldn't even load Twitter. Like I couldn't send a tweet. It was crap. And every other carrier in that area had LTE. So I haven't gone back to Sprint since, and we'll see. Maybe I'll try it out because I want to give a good, solid opinion. I need an updated experience on Sprint. So yeah. Anyway, they'll love to see me. I'll walk in there. Hey, I write for Droid Life. Oh my god, we'd love to sign you up.
Yeah, Sean in the chat says at his house Sprint has better coverage than Verizon. That's one of the great things about there being 4 solid choices.
Totally.
Is that hopefully you can find the one that works the best at your house. Like at my house, T-Mobile actually has the best coverage at my house. Like Verizon, I get 0 or 1 bars. AT&T, I think, is like 2 bars typically. T-Mobile is usually a pretty solid signal, and then I don't think I've ever tested Sprint here, but so I use T-Mobile. I have one of their, I guess now at this point it's a grandfathered unlimited plan. It's like $70. I'm not giving it up either.
Don't do it.
Not giving it up. All right, moving on from unlimited. So LG Watch Sport, LG Watch Style. Tim and I each have them. He's got the Watch Sport. I've got the Watch Style. We've unboxed them, shared some initial thoughts with you all. Anything else you want to say? Like recap sort of your week with the Watch Sport?
My week. When did I receive this thing? Friday?
Friday.
Wait,
I
what's
think we
today?
got it Monday.
Oh yeah. Today's Friday. So yeah, I got mine Monday. So yeah, I've had it for a week. Man, I am so lost right now. First impressions and overall like week impressions. Holy crap, this thing is huge.
Let me see this thing. Yeah.
Well, it sort of looks like I've got some type of ankle bracelet tracker thing tied to my.
It's like the chargers that's still attached to the bottom, and they're like, it'll be cool. Just put that on your wrist.
Exactly. It reminds me when I first put it on, I was like, man, it's kind of like uncomfortable and large. It reminded me a lot of the Neptune Pine, except that one was like a big rectangle. It was an ankle bracelet.
Like the wearable Hall of Fame. That thing's classic.
Totally like a full build of Android OS. Like it wasn't even like some skimpy version.
No.
But it's massive. I love the display.
Sean doesn't think it looks that big. You should hold it up like sideways like this so he can see like.
Does that look a little bit better? Here, I have to open up my screen so I can see. Yeah, it's pretty solid.
There you go.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to.
It's
really get
blending into that background, but you can
yeah.
see underneath it, there's like an
There we
extra
go.
puck.
Yeah, it is. So right there is where I think the watch should end, but it just
Yes.
keeps going for all of that battery. The thing
Yeah.
is, it's huge. It doesn't look terrible. Like, say if I'm just hanging out at home, like it doesn't look massive. Or I had someone comment on it. I was in an AT&T store and they were like, "Oh, hey, is that the new Watch Sport?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty good." And he liked the look of it. He didn't say like, "Oh, dude, like that
That
thing
thing's
makes you look like you've got
huge.
tiny
Yeah.
wrists or something like that." He was cool about it. But I mean, it's just a large watch. You just can't get around it.
Right.
I call it the Jacob and Co. Version of Android Wear. So it's really big. But I'm loving Android Wear 2.0. Like, I think it's such a huge improvement over the last version. I know Kellen might disagree slightly in terms of like notification management, but
I'm slowly coming around to it, but yeah.
yeah, the UI mixed with these like quick launch buttons at the 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock position, plus this digital crown. I know we're calling it like a rotating crown or whatever. I don't know if Google's given like an official name.
I think it might be rotating crown.
It's kind of a crappy name. I'm gonna go with digital crown. I'm gonna go with Apple's name for it.
See, but I hate that too because
No,
it's
it's
not
cool.
digital at all. It's
It's totally
like
digital. What are you talking
a
about?
physical button. Like I know
Yeah,
it
but
moves things digitally,
yeah,
but
it's a digital. It's a rotating digital crown. There we go. RDC. It's a RDC. So Android Wear working with this RDC and these two quick launch buttons, I really enjoy it quite a bit. I did a full software tour of Android Wear 2.0 on the Watch Sport. Highly recommend. It's a huge video. It's almost like
it
20
is a big
minutes
video.
long, but I try and go through everything. And with the software, at least for Android Wear 2.0, unlike Kellen, I never flashed a developer preview of ADEB 2.0. So like I had virgin eyes when I was playing with it, and I think it's a really big improvement. They did switch up a lot of stuff, and so far I'm really digging it. The display, 1.38 inch, high resolution. It looks super crisp. Don't think I've ever like used a watch that has as high of a resolution as this one. I have seen and like worn the Tag Heuer connected for like 2 minutes, and that thing also has a very nice resolution. But when you have that,
Yeah, that thing's the you have 480 by 480, which is nuts.
it's pretty insane. Like that's better than OG Droid resolution, I think. So pretty good. Considering the size of the display, it just makes everything look real good. Like my watch faces look real good. It makes text extremely clear and easy to read. And I love that stuff. The processor, 768 megabytes of RAM, which is it's odd. It's an odd number. You would think just maybe round it up to a gig. That'd be fine. But regardless, performance is great. Snapdragon Wear 2100 processor is very nice. Huge downside, and probably the main reason why I will never suggest this watch, at least until Google updates it or something. The battery life is total trash. I put it on like around 8:30 a.m. and then by the time 5 p.m. rolls around, it already flashes that it's at 15%. It has to go into battery saver mode. Now, with that being said, during my
Are you running LTE all day on it?
right, so this week I have been running LTE all week because I really just want to test the battery like to its max. I've got always on display. I've got the LTE SIM full blown. I am also on Wi-Fi too, but whenever I'm out walking the dogs or something, I've got the LTE going. So the battery life, you could probably enhance that a little bit, if you switched off the always on display, take out the SIM card. Not everyone needs a SIM card. You also don't need to have the always on display. I just like the look of some of the watch faces, how they look, and sort of that chromatic look when it's not full color. So just the way I use it, the battery has just been draining like insanely quick. But so starting, I think tomorrow, since I've had 5 business days at least on it like this, tomorrow I will switch off the always on display and start really kind of trying to see how long the battery can go if I change up my usage of it a little bit.
Because not everyone will have LTE and
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the LTE, I haven't even really noticed like a benefit of really, I guess, having it. Like I literally have not received a single call like since I put the SIM in. So it's like, I'm super unpopular in the first place. So, if you aren't getting calls all the time, people just text me, right? If you need me, just text me. So people know not to call me. I'm not going to pick up anyway. So So my next few days of usage will just be seeing how long can I get that battery going. But I mean, the fact is, I mean, towards the earlier parts of the evening, around that 5:30, 6 p.m., like a little bit after I'm done with work, the watch is dying and bigly. so so hopefully, I don't know what Google can do about fixing that. I really don't think that having the LTE disconnected could help all that much, like a day and night difference. Like all the reviews that I've seen so far have already said that the battery life is not all that great. And sadly, I just have to sort of confirm that. Like if you wanted a watch that has LTE connectivity and you want that always on display, like you may just not have that great a battery life. So we'll see. I mean, everyone's usage is different, right? So everyone can have a different story. But so far, mine aligns pretty well with other reviewers. But regardless of what happens, I'm gonna have my review up next week. Most definitely before MWC comes, because we're gonna have tons of other Android Wear stuff going on, most likely. So just gonna get it up. What about you? What about that watch style, the chick watch?
The chick watch. Tim's according to Tim, chick watch. So
Yeah,
yeah, I've had the watch style basically the same amount of time Tim has. Actually, actually kind of like it. Like I mean, like look size wise, like it's a nice size. The leather mode band that comes with it is like the cheapest thing ever, so I would probably swap that. But I don't think I would like tell anyone to run out and buy this thing. Like it looks pretty nice. The rotating. Oh, I have an official name on the crown. Where did that go? It is officially the rotating side button.
no,
That's what it's
that's
called.
terrible,
Like
terrible.
all caps. That's the official name of it, is rotating side button. So anyway, it has a rotating side button as well. A little bit lower res screen, really small battery, no LTE, no NFC, no cool new technology. It just runs Android Wear 2.0. You can see on wrist though, it lays pretty nicely. It lays pretty flat. It's actually a nice size watch, 42 millimeter, fits well. You could probably wear it with anything because it's so plain. Yesterday though, randomly by like 4:30, the thing just died on me. Like we went out and had a beer, gave my phone to my son while I was drinking a beer, and I was like, I had the watch on me, and I was like, oh, I want to check notifications or the time, and like the screen was off, and I was like, what's going on? And it was like in battery saver mode at 4:30. And I was like, okay, there's something wrong there. So something yesterday from like 8 a.m. till then just drained it, and it was dead by 5. Now today it's 140 right now, and I have 63%, and that's a pretty light usage. So
That's good.
it should get me, into the evening. But yeah, yesterday out of nowhere, all of a sudden it was just dead, and like I hadn't been paying attention. So that's not a good thing, right? Like when you don't see it coming, and all of a sudden your smartwatch is dead. So otherwise, though, performance is really nice. You can tell Google did work with LG on this because the software is just buttery smooth, just
Right.
getting in and out of stuff using the rotating side button or swiping or whatever. Um, yeah, overall, I actually like the watch. It's just it doesn't do anything special, right? Like it's $250, but like go buy a Huawei watch, it's probably cheaper at this point, and looks just as nice, if not nicer, and does all of the same stuff. So yeah, it's kind of a tough one for me to tell people to go buy. I'll also have my review up next week for this bad boy, but I can tell you right now, while it's a decent smartwatch, I don't know why.
Yeah, I kind of feel
Unless it was like
yeah.
$150.
Right, I feel the same way. I mean, the watch Sport, $350. Like that's just insane. You can't change the bands on it. It comes in two colors. Um, I don't know. There's just not a lot. It doesn't offer a ton. I guess to throw it out there.
At least that one has like some specific use cases, right? Like if you are the type of person who needs like that connectivity where you're not
Sure.
around your phone, like it has that, or it has heart rate sensor, like and GPS. Like it could be a workout watch. This one, I'm like, I don't even know, other than it's just a really simple, basic smartwatch, except it's $250.
Yeah, I don't know
And
why that one costs that much
I don't know either. You
at
can
all.
buy, I'm sure you could probably buy a Moto 360 or something for like half that at this point. You know
Pretty
what I mean?
crazy.
Or
Yeah,
a Huawei watch or whatever. So
they
yeah,
won't have the digital or the rotating side button. So
this is true. You will not have a rotating side button, but I think you'll probably still get along. You can't even buy the Moto 360 anymore. Look at that from Motorola. It's just gone.
right.
I mean, it's on there, but they won't let you buy it anymore.
They got a few options on Amazon still. I checked just the other
Oh,
day.
you did.
Yeah.
Is the price coming down? Like, can you get one
Uh,
for way cheaper than this?
I forget how much it was. I just remember that they were on there. I think.
The second gen, they're actually somebody's asking over $300 for, which is
No, that's
nuts.
ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. You can still buy the Moto 360 Sport though for $150,
There you go.
which is like, oh, you can no even cheaper. The orange version is $128.
And that'll get Android Wear 2.0 confirmed.
Yep.
So
So,
I mean, that's not bad. That's a workout watch.
that
That
has
one is,
GPS in it. Yeah.
yeah. So there you go, folks.
Yeah.
And that was a cool watch. I actually really liked the display on that one. So
Yeah, because they had a special like outdoor display, right?
yeah, it was cool. It looked good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's our thoughts on these two watches. They're fine. They're just
Eh.
nothing tank. I actually don't mind wearing this because it feels like a normal watch. Although it's kind of light, like it doesn't have the weight of a normal watch, but the size of it does. So
Right.
while wearing it, I don't feel like it's this big ass clunky thing. Like I said last week, I think I'm also testing this New Balance running watch, this
right.
Android Wear thing, and it's pretty big, right? It has GPS and heart rate monitor and all that stuff. And like when I was wearing this, I could tell like it's kind of a tank.
Hmm.
But this is also a sport watch, like the one you're wearing. It has the 3 pushers on the side, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, this watch just isn't all that comfortable to wear, to be honest. Like, it kind of hurts. And like if I loosened it up, it's like way too loose, and then the huge casing just knocks into my little baby wrists, and it hurts, man. Everything hurts about this watch.
a lot
It
of people
looks good
talk
though.
about wrist fatigue, and they talk about that with big old watches. Like, do you at the end of the day, are you kind of like, get this thing off my wrist?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
I
that's
mean,
not a good thing.
yeah, right. Not because it's like heavy by any means. It's just like it's uncomfortable. Like I can't bend my wrist up. Sometimes if I need to, like I can't play guitar with it on, and
Okay.
and so it hurt because it's got this huge rotating side button, and it
It is huge.
digs into your freaking hand. But it's whatever, dude. I mean, if you want to look good, you want to rock that big old daddy watch, then you just got to deal with the pain. So
True. It's true. Got to work yourself up to get rid of that watch fatigue.
exactly. I'm just doing like wrist curls, like
Constantly.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So look out for those reviews next week, because MWC is coming up, and we'll probably get a Huawei Watch 2, and ZTE might have one, and who knows who else might have one.
Yeah.
All right. Just quickly, latest Galaxy S8 news. There hasn't been a bunch of new rumors, but we are sort of expecting that. This is kind of funny, but at MWC is happening next weekend, and Samsung is hosting an event which they won't announce the Galaxy S8, but they're going to show a teaser for it. And then now we think that they're going to, after the teaser, announce the date for when they're going to actually announce it.
So it's a movie trailer, like it's a
Yes.
trailer for the trailer.
So basically the trailer is just going to play, and then it's going to have the date at the end, just like a trailer. Yeah. Like that's what the news was this week, which is kind of funny.
Oh yeah, people were.
Samsung's going to announce the date that they're going to announce their phone.
It's kind of funny, right? I mean, but that's funny because that's some of like the biggest news coming out of MWC right now is like Samsung's not even really going to be there in that huge of a capacity in terms of like flagship stuff, but still they're stealing headlines just because that's how much power and weight they carry. So I feel bad for LG, especially, I mean, with all the talks that it's not even coming until April. Like, they're so screwed.
Poor LG.
I think we talked about this last week a lot, but
about
LG,
the timing of LG.
yeah, LG is just in the worst possible position right now, especially if they don't plan on launching the G6 in March. I mean, it could be DOA.
I saw something today that said that LG V30 or something like that, some other phone that's rumored to be coming from them, will have a Snapdragon 835.
Oh,
I guess that would be the V20, the follow up to the V20, but that
The
it'll have an
V30.
835, but the G6, won't, because it's apparently Samsung bought them all or whatever. So
interesting.
Speaking of G6 news this week, actually official news. So LG does this thing every year where they kind of throw press releases out to announce features for their new phone. Like they already told us it's a 5.7-inch Quad HD display, right? And that's a weird 18:9 ratio. And then this week they also announced that it'll have a quad DAC, just like the V20, although it's improved over the V20s. So sound gurus, you should be excited. Love me the sound gurus. Yeah, so it'll have a quad DAC, and they've improved sound balance and depth and all that good stuff that like audio people talk about.
Oh
So
yeah.
we'll have that though, which is good. Although I think the headphone jack is on top of the G6, which is
Oh, get over it.
let's see. They also announced that they're well, they sort of teased the new UX for the G6. And the teaser talks about how because it's a 8:9 ratio, they can actually put two perfect squares next to each other on the display when you're doing multitasking. And so, like some of their ideas are, well, if you're in the camera, you could have it the camera taking square one by one photos, and then you can instantly preview them right to the right of it in the other panel. So there's some like kind of functionality things they're pushing there, and just the fact that the 18:9 ratio is stretched out, right? So you can just see more on your screen at a time and things like that. It's actually kind of a cool idea, knowing that they're going to keep the bezel around the phone pretty small, so it's not going to be quite as all display as the Galaxy S8, but it'll be mostly display on the G6. So it actually probably will come in handy, some of that stuff.
I'm still looking forward to the device. I just think the timing is all jacked up.
Yeah, the timing, and if they're really not going to release it in the US until April, it's not good. Not
Nah,
good for LG. I also would like it if they would just redo their skin, but I'm looking at this teaser video now, the screenshot from it, and it just looks like their same old crappy skin.
yeah, not a fan of that. Although you said it's not that bad anymore. So
Well, it still looks terrible, but it's
uh,
performs really well. Like
uh,
LG phones are some of the butteriest, smoothest using phones you'll find. I think dating back to the V10, so like 3 phone launches ago. The problem is the skin just it's pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly.
hmm.
But they don't have to match my taste. Let's see. So that's G6 news. Let's talk about the Moto G5 for a second. So Moto G5, not official by any means. Moto G5, Moto G5 Plus. We're pretty sure Motorola is going to announce these at MWC next week. They invited us to a press conference and stuff, but we're not going to Barcelona. But an electronics retailer posted up listings for both the Moto G5 and Moto G5 Plus and revealed everything. Like we got all angle pictures of these things. We got full spec lists. We know everything other than price, but if you go off of previous Moto G phones, I would imagine between 250 and 400 probably is like a range. So they'll each have 1080p displays. One will be 5.2 inch, the Plus, and one will be 5 inch, the regular one. They run Nougat, 32 or 64 gig storage, 2 gig RAM in both, although I wouldn't be shocked if the Plus has a 4 gig RAM option. 2800 and 3000 milliamp hour batteries. On the G5 Plus, it's a 12 megapixel dual autofocus pixel camera. Sounds a lot like Samsung, the camera in the Galaxy S8 or S7, I should say. And it's 12 megapixels. So it could be like that Sony sensor that everyone's using that like Google's been using. And I think even HTC used in the HTC 10. Sort of mid-tier Snapdragon processors, but these are mid-tier phones. They have water repellent coating, things like that. I mean, we seriously have full spec lists. And then we have full promo material imagery as well. Yeah, this was like a massive leak. I don't remember the last time a retailer posted something up this early. Like usually you'll see them 1 or 2 days early, right? They'll screw up. This was like a full week early, week and a half early, just everything. It'll come in gold or silver. It's not a bad looking phone. It's kind of goofy looking. I don't know. This is like the coolest designed phone I've ever seen. I also don't know that it's the ugliest thing.
Looks sort of plain. I mean, it's similar to the Moto Z, but I mean, it's not pressing any of my buttons.
No. And look, if you want to just spend like $300, $350 on a phone, it might not be a bad phone, except you also have the OnePlus 3 there and around that.
Right. People will like these devices somewhere in the world, right? I mean, the Moto G is a very popular line from the company, so.
Yeah. Turbo charging, so fast charging and all that stuff. I mean, the Plus has NFC also, and it looks like just like last year's, they're fully unlocked and they'll work on all the carriers here. So you can get this and work on Verizon. Yeah, I mean the LTE bands and stuff show that it works on Verizon. So yeah, pretty crazy. Pretty big leak though. And they pulled it down. And by the time I got done saving all of the imagery from these listings and writing it up and posting it, I think within an hour it was taken down from that site.
I can't blame them.
It's just some sort of international site. I don't remember where it was, like from Spain or something. I don't know.
K-tronics.
Yeah, whatever K-tronics is. I have no idea. All right. Google Home news. So the Wall Street Journal, I believe, Wall Street Journal reporting that Google and Amazon are looking to potentially turn Google Home and Amazon Echo into a phone. Could be like a home phone replacement. They are hesitating, or I shouldn't say hesitating. They're working towards it, maybe having phone capabilities. Some of the hangups are privacy. Obviously, you would have to have a speakerphone conversation throughout this. There is no privacy there unless they can figure out a way to hand it off onto your phone. Although they could make it Google Voice, like Google could at least, where it rings on your Google Home and your phone, and you could decide where you want to pick it up. Obviously, people would have to worry about calls being recorded and things like that. Um, but I actually think the idea sounds kind of cool, especially if you live in a house where you don't care or that your conversation is just blasted. Like if you live by yourself in an apartment, it would be kind of handy probably to have Google Home just like take your phone calls for you and you're just sitting across the room talking. But anyway, they think it could come this year, if not early next year, I think. So I don't have a home phone, so I don't really care, but
So part of like my Comcast bundle, my triple play, whatever, is that I get a home phone. Although I don't have one hooked up, right?
yeah, I
Like,
was the same way when I had that. Yeah.
yeah, people don't call my cell phone. Believe me, they're not going to call my house phone either. So it's just like totally not necessary for me. However, that functionality sounds legit, and that's something like I guess if I could just use my Google Home, like since I'm already paying for it, I would just plug it in or whatever I do, and I would totally rock that. Like, why not? Especially like
Yeah.
if my cell phone service is crappy or something, it's good to have like a backup landline always. But at the same
Well,
time,
it would basically just be VoIP, right? So it would just use Wi-Fi. It wouldn't be like through a phone line, is my guess. It would just be like like
eh,
Skype. It would be like Skype or some of the other VoIP services. But it would basically just be
right.
an internet call. It'd basically be Google Voice or
It,
Hangouts calls.
right. It's still the idea, I guess, is kind of dope. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would actually be a pretty decent idea as long as there's some way to like maybe even mid conversation to hang hand off. Like, like if you pick up the phone, like you tell Google Home to answer, and then someone walks in the room, like you could maybe grab your phone and it shows that you have an ongoing call, and you could just say take call on phone. I think that would be nice. But
Right.
all right, in related news, Google Assistant in Google Home now lets you buy things,
Oh yeah.
lets you order things. You wrote this up. Do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Google introduced this new functionality for Google Assistant, and what users can do is they can set up their payment options through the Google Assistant settings or the Google Home application, and then also set up their shipping address. And what users can do is simply say, "Oh, magic words, cover all your devices, people." But you say, "Okay, Google, buy paper towels," or something like that. Oh, my phone did it. So you can basically you can order anything from a supported retailer in your area, and on the Google Payments website, they have a huge list of all their supported retailers such as Costco and Whole Foods, things of that nature. And
Prizes on there.
yeah, and what will happen is a Google Express van will show up a little bit later and deliver your goods. So I don't know specifics about like when deliveries will take place, but I know Google Kellen, I think you tested it out, right? And what'd you
Yeah,
get?
I ordered some LaCroix, and it'll be here today.
Look,
LaCroix. Google
yeah,
called it LaCroix. I was like, "Give me that LaCroix," and they were like,
look, why
"Yes,
makes
we're
it
ordering your
interesting.
LaCroix." Whole robot
Pretentious.
voice, and it'll be here today. So I ordered yesterday just to test it, and they're not charging any fees, right, or something like that for a
Yes.
while.
Yeah. So for right now, there's no through April 30th, I believe that there's no fees or memberships or signups or anything. You just simply use it, and it's pretty dope, right? However, I'm not exactly comfortable. Like, do they confirm like the pricing on things? Because I haven't tested it, right? I just wrote it up, but like, do they say it's going to cost you this much, and is there a delivery charge or anything like that?
So I said, like, whatever, Google,
Hmm.
order the LaCroix from Whole Foods, I think is what I said. And I even said in grapefruit, like I specified
Oh,
the flavor to
dang.
see what it would do. And it goes, I found LaCroix 12 pack or whatever at Whole Foods. And I believe it said how much it was. and it said like engraved and it said, "Do you want to order this?" And I said yes. And then it thought for a second, and then it just ordered it.
That's
And then
kind of dope.
it said you'll get an email confirmation with everything. And so I had already gone into and set up like my payment methods and stuff in
Right.
Assistant, so it didn't ask for any of that stuff. It just ordered it. And so then, yeah, almost instantly when she said you'll get an email, I got an email. And it said like here it is, and it laid out the delivery fee, which you could see it gave it to me for free. Like it was supposed to be $8, and it
Mm.
slashed that off of there. Um, so yeah, it was super easy. But the only thing is you have to find stuff. Like I tried like 3 or 4 things. Like I was like, order Whole Foods pizza dough, and it was like, what? It like froze at one point. It was like, I can't do that. And I tried to order shredded cheese because we ran out of like shredded cheddar. And so I was like, oh, and we forgot to buy it at the store. I was like, oh, perfect timing. I was like, get me shredded cheddar cheese. And it goes, I can't order dairy. And I was like, what do you mean you can't order dairy? So it definitely had some issues, but it did work eventually. But you can order from, yeah, like fries if you want electronics and stuff like that. You can do that. It'll be there the next day.
That's it's a super dope idea. It just seems like maybe when if people have to start paying for that convenience, I don't know, it might wear out pretty quickly. I've just never found the need, at least for me, right? Like I'm able-bodied, I can just drive to the store and stuff. For someone like me, you may not want to pay extra for that convenience. Like I don't know. I've always just felt uncomfortable not seeing maybe or like sort of interacting myself with the purchase and allowing a robot to do it for me. I'm always worried something's going to go wrong. Like it's going to order 100 cases of LaCroix and I'm going to be out $2,000 and I'm going to be like, oh, what the hell?
Well, so
So
in the email, they give you like some links where you can just cancel stuff. So you
sure.
can actually cancel your order before it ships and all that. And I think it shipped UPS or something too, which is
That's even weirder.
yeah.
Like, yeah, Google is definitely taking a loss on this. Like, it's not free for them
Mhm.
to use these little Google Expressers or to ship things UPS. And it also seems, I would argue, that it could be potentially wasteful. They have to do the additional packaging for whatever it is you ordered. It just
Yeah, it'll be
seems like,
interesting to see how this stuff shows up. Like, is it going
yeah,
to be boxed up, or are they just going to slap a label on? Because this is easy, right? It's like a box
it's a box of LaCroix.
of sparkling water. So, like, are
Yeah.
they just going to put a label on the outside? I don't know. We'll find out. It hasn't been delivered yet today.
Yeah. I think once we get to the point where I can say, okay, blah blah blah, order a 6 pack of toilet paper, and then it's delivered by drone, not needing any additional
Yeah,
packaging and
like
all that.
same day, just
Yeah,
drone.
same day drone action. Then we're in business. Until then, I just
I think one of the nice things that could come in handy for some people is like, let's say like you need some stuff from Target and you need like some socks from Kohl's. I'm just looking at the list of stuff. And then like let's say Costco, you only want one thing or something, right? Like instead of having to go to all 3 places, like maybe 3 different days, like you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna Google home the Costco stuff so I can skip that, and then I'll just stop off at Kohl's and Target. I mean, I could see like it could come in handy here and there. I don't know if you want to do all of your damn shopping with it, but uh, I could see it coming in handy depending on what you're buying. I will say though that like I ordered the LaCroix yesterday and it didn't say like, do you want to order anything else? So
hmm,
and you would think like, especially if I'm ordering from a grocery store, maybe I want like 6 things and when you think about like could be a delivery fee in the future, like I'm not gonna order a thing of LaCroix which costs like $4 and pay an $8 delivery fee. Like that's just stupid. So yeah, it's early days, obviously, and we still have to figure out exactly how it works. Google's really terrible about telling you how anything works, right? So
yeah, they just sort of announce and say you can do this now, and then it does magically work, but we have no idea how.
yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where you almost they needed to put together a whole demo video of how to do it. Because, like I said, I tried to order like 4 things, and it was like, sorry, and like it like died on me.
Yeah, I'll
But
try it out.
it should allow them to compete better with Amazon Echo because that was one of the big things, right? You can order things through Amazon from Echo.
Yeah.
Not that I ever did, but
Oh, Echo.
yeah. All right. Anyway, that's big Google Home news, though. So
Oh,
we don't
definitely.
get big Google Home news every once in a while. All right. In Huawei news, though, we got, well, I should
Huge news.
say Richard Yu, who is he the CEO of the consumer
Consumer
division?
brand. Yeah, the
Yeah,
consumer
something like that,
division.
right? So anyway, you guys have probably seen Richard Yu before, but he jumped on his like Weibo account and announced that the Huawei Watch 2 is coming to MWC. And he posted this picture of this dude like working out, looking at his watch, like mid stride, looking at his watch. It's actually a pretty funny picture.
Yeah, it was very like Greek mythology status.
It really was. So he posted, I don't know if he pulled that. I could like within a couple hours of him posting that to Weibo, I couldn't access it anymore. So I don't know what happened there, but he did post that. And so the Huawei Watch 2 is coming at MWC, which is cool. We don't know anything else about it. And then Huawei also teased in a video that the Huawei P10 is coming, which we sort of figured. And then Ev Leaks gave us 3 pictures of what that P10 will look like. And it looks like the P9. But the fingerprint reader is now on the front chin instead of the back, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it totally sucks. Not a fan.
It looks like an iPhone, like a lot.
All these
it did last year too.
Right. All these phones are starting to just look the same. Like this one looks like the the rumored Honor 8 Pro, which looks like the OnePlus 3, which looks like the blah blah blah. Yeah.
I will say though, we talk about this a lot. But every time the Huawei P phone comes up, we're like, the P9's hardware was great and the software sucked. So this has EMU UI. I always want to call it EMU UI. It's EMUI. It'll have 5.0 and Nougat and all that stuff. And you said you're a big fan. So as long as it works well in the US, I don't know that it will, but I would totally use this phone. There's like this ugly green color that I would probably use. Kind of a cool dark blue color. I don't know. It's got dual cameras. It's exactly what we expected it to be, right? There's no like big surprises here. Other than we don't really know what the specs are. Are you still there? I lost him. He's back now. Are you back now?
Yeah, it just said it closed due to an error, and I was like, "Oh boy, here we go."
Yeah. Well, I should say to let you guys know, we're having weird Hangouts issues. Like we're having screen issues where Tim and I it's kind of a weird day. Anyways, P10 looks nice, but also looks like an iPhone. Who knows if it'll come to the US? If it does, if it'll be late. What carriers? Probably just AT&T and T-Mobile, right? So even if we do like it, it's probably going to be a tough one to buy.
Sorry, to sort of catch myself up. Someone said in the chat that the green P10 has their attention, and I think you mentioned that too right before I cut out. But no, that the green is disgusting. It's like baby puke green.
What I was saying was I would totally rock it. I was like, it's ugly, but I would totally use it just for something different.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, different is good. Like, but why not a red? We hardly ever see red phones or orange phones. Like, give me something bright. If you want to do bright, don't do lime green. Give me something, I don't know, sexified. Give me purple. Purple could be cool.
That could be cool. I am surprised that they won't. I guess it's just because people are scared of color. People always just use white or black phones or silver phones, right? Like when you throw out red and green and purple, I think you just shrink your potential market. Yeah. Just too bad. People need to get creative in their life or something. All right. So similarly, you were talking about the Honor 8 Pro, which leaked today somewhere. What is the Honor 8 Pro?
The Honor 8 Pro is China's Honor V9. So the phone is not yet official for China, but the rumor and the report says that Honor will release the V9 as the Honor 8 Pro to other markets such as the UK and the US. And from what the report says and what we've seen so far posted on other sites, sounds like a freaking beast. Honor 8 Pro is rumored to feature a 5.7-inch QHD display, Kirin 960 processor, which is the same that was in the Huawei Mate 9, 4 gigs of RAM for the US, 6 gigs for other markets like China, because 6 gigs is like all the rage right now. 3,900 milliamp hour battery, so huge battery to go with that 5.7-inch display. SD card support, dual rear-facing cameras, fingerprint reader, plus EMUI 5.0 on top of Android Nougat. So I think I said in the post, but I was like, dude, I'm actually pretty stoked for this phone. It sounds really great. I think this will be Honor's first time potentially putting a QHD display in a phone. So it's sort of a new one for them.
Usually just go 1080p, right?
Yeah, 1080p. So the fact that they might be going like balls to the wall flagship specs, and what I have to assume will be somewhat of an affordable price. I mean, the Mate 9 is only priced at $599. So sure, this has a QHD display, but then again, I mean, it's Honor, right? It's their E brand. I just don't know
Everything's
if
cheaper, right?
yeah, I just don't know if they can go like $700 for a phone, even though, if Samsung made this phone, they could probably charge that much, but who knows? It's hard to say, but I'm just assuming it's going to be affordable, and maybe like $500, somewhere around whatever the Honor 8 was originally, which I think was like $399. So what, maybe 450, 500? I don't know. It's hard to say right now. So we'll see, but so far it sounds great. I mean, I played with EMUI 5.0 on top of the Mate 9 for quite a bit, so I'm looking forward to it. It's a much better software experience than whatever we had before, EMUI 4.1 on top of Marshmallow. I also hate that they went from 4.1 to 5.0, made it very confusing for me. I thought we skipped a whole bunch of numbers.
Big old jump.
Yeah,
Big.
but it is a huge jump. It's good. There's an app drawer.
The Honor 8, if the software initially wasn't so bad, would probably have been, I would almost say, up there last year as one of the better phones of the entire year, just because design wise, like it was that dark blue or whatever it was like a gorgeous phone.
Yeah, they had that wide option that also looked really nice,
and it was a good size, right? It wasn't
it was
huge.
A fantastic size. What, I think it was 5.2 inch, but it felt great in hand. It was super thin. The battery life was good.
And the price was crazy
the
good.
price was right. It was a good phone. It had a really nice fingerprint reader on the backside. It was all glass and metallic. Man, see, that's what I want. I was telling someone in the comments section of that post, I was like, dude, give me an updated Honor 8, like that same size. And that's why I was attracted to the Pixel, just the standard, not the XL. Like, I sort of want to get back into using smaller phones. I miss the pocketability of the smaller phones, but hey, man, I'm not going to hate 5.7-inch QHD Kirin 960. Should be pretty dope. So we'll see. MWC, man, it's right around the corner. That's when it's rumored to be announced and then launched in late March. So not too far away. We're getting close.
Far away. For sure. So many new things coming. It's gonna be good. Gotcha. And then, yeah, there's going to be this, the Samsung, it's totally going to work out for them. The fact that they aren't at MWC, because MWC is actually this year, for one of the first years in a while, is really packed, right? Like, we'll get the P10, we'll get the G6, we'll get some other stuff. I think even Sony has stuff. Nokia's back. BlackBerry has an event. Like, there's everyone's actually doing something. There's watches, phones, and all this stuff coming. And then Samsung's not going to be there. So they're actually going to just wait like 3 weeks. And then they're going to stand on their own and go, yeah, that stuff was really cute, guys. Look at this. And everyone's going to go, ooh. It's not fair, really. But that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not fair. But that's how Samsung rolls.
Yeah, it is. All right. In other news, HTC confirmed this week that they're making a mobile VR unit. They said, though, that it's not just another headset like Daydream or Gear VR. They said you're not just slapping a phone in a headset, is basically what they said. And that's all they said, other than should come this year. I don't know what that means. If it's not just a phone and a headset, does that mean it is a phone and a headset, but there's extra controllers that are actually cool? Or does that mean you're just like wiring a phone to a headset? Does that mean you're wirelessly beaming to your headset? What does that mean?
I was thinking maybe, sort of like how Vive is now, where you plug the headset up to a computer where the phone could be the computer. And then, so you just plug it in and then put the headset on without the phone actually being inside the headset. It's totally possible. But yeah, I read that a couple of times and I have no idea what they mean right now.
Yeah,
and I don't know, does anyone really
that it's not a phone and a headset? He just said that's not all it is.
Right. And that's what I think sucks about VR, like the fact that it needs to be a phone and a headset. That's why I think Vive is so cool, or like PlayStation VR. It doesn't require something kind of weighted inside the front of the device. It can be more powerful, because there's actually like a desktop running it and stuff. So I'm not all too impressed with like smartphone virtual reality experiences. So Vive seems to be a pretty solid experience, although you haven't talked about it in a while and you've had Vive set up in your office, I think.
I go through waves of playing it. Like, I played it. This game like a month or so ago came out, called Arizona Sunshine. It was like you're in the desert in Arizona, like in its like zombie apocalypse, and you're walking around shooting zombies. It was actually a really, really cool, well done game. Played that, and I haven't played anything since. But I just don't have that much time. But I do use it, and yes, Vibe's good. So if there's a company that's making a mobile VR headset and they're saying it's not just another headset, HTC would be one to look out for because they do currently have the best VR setup, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So we'll see what they do. It'll be at some point this year. Then they'll scrap it and it'll never come out. It's like how many times has HTC said, "Yeah, we're working on a smartwatch,"
Right.
and they've never released one,
They do
which
that.
is fine. We don't need one HTC. We've got a lot of smartwatches. Big, huge news. Pokemon Go, big old update. What's going on? We haven't had a Pokemon Go update in a while. Remember, it was like, this is all we talked
Every
about.
week.
We had like shows that felt like, no, we didn't do that. We talked about Pokemon a lot, though.
Yeah.
What's going on with this week?
Huge update. So right now it's already rolling out. A lot of people have been talking about this.
Yes.
But so Gen 2 Pokemon, 80 plus of them, little pocket monsters.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of new pocket monsters are rolling out to Pokemon Go locations around the globe. And not only will you find new Gen 2 Pokemon, which a lot of people seem to love. I'm not a huge fan. I'm just Gen 1 pure OG kind of Pokemon player. But there's also new sort of encounter mechanics and gameplay that you'll find. There's new berries to use when you're trying to capture these Pokemon. Whole lot of new stuff, new outfits for your little avatars and whatnots. Nerdy, but yeah, it was a major update. I think the big deal is that there's the new Pokemon, but new
There's probably
berries.
a lot of people that have caught all the old ones, right? And now they need something new to do.
I don't know. I mean, we played for quite a bit. I don't think I'm around like 100 some odd, where there's like a 150 or something, but
Okay.
I feel like I'm close. But once they added the ability for you to sort of like discover Pokemon just by going to a gym with a Pokemon there, and it's still added to your Pokédex, I really got turned off by it, because then I felt like I wasn't doing the work myself to discover a Charizard or a Gyarados or anything. Like I could just go to a gym and see those Pokemon and they beat up my Pokemon, but then I would get that experience in the Pokédex. Not a fan. It sort of took the fun out of it, maybe I'd say, like discovering the monsters yourself. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, huge update. I mean, it's big, and it's on Google Play right now if you still play. We had a lot of people in that post saying that they still play, and shout out to them. I mean, shout out to anyone who's sticking around for Pokemon Go and who are in it for the long haul. So good for y'all.
Good for y'all.
Yeah, good for y'all.
Cool. All right, any other big stories?
I did have one app I wanted to talk about, and it's called Bethesda Pinball. Bethesda being the studio behind such classic titles as Fallout and Skyrim, etc. Fantastic new pinball game made in partnership with Zen Studios, who's sort of like that go-to mobile pinball developer.
They really are,
yeah. You think of a title, they've turned it into a pinball game. However, like the Bethesda pinball, at least the tables for Doom, the new Doom, and Fallout 4 are totally dope. The Skyrim one, I'm not a fan of that table, but I've been totally addicted to these pinball tables. So much fun. I mean, it really makes you feel like you're not like playing those games on a console or anything, but they use like the same sounds, the same music, the same voices from the characters inside those games. It's really like a solid extension of those games. It's really great. And it's challenging, but totally overcomable, I'd say, right? A lot of people, I think, in the comments were saying that it was sort of pay to win. Not necessarily the case. Now that I've spent my own time with it, I can say all you do is you play these matchups, and you have to just beat other people's scores on the tables, and you rank up, you earn coins, and you can buy perks. And once you start getting the roll of it and the hang of it, and you know where to shoot the balls and blah, 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 it's a ton of fun if you like the pinball stuff. So definitely check it out. Bethesda Pinball, free to download. And if you don't want to beat anyone and unlock all the tables, then you just pay, I think it's like $2 a table, or you can unlock them all for $5 or something. That way you can just skip all the hard work and play whatever table you want. It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend. And I'm not out here just pimping every game. Trust me, like Bethesda is a game I play, and it's a lot of fun. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm out of breath.
That was a lot of pinball talk.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I don't think I have anything else.
I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend.
Have a fantastic weekend.
We got the sun shining, and like I just sort of like want to run outside and like quit and be like,
yeah. It's like one nice day for the whole winter.
Yeah, we got
because I
rain.
think it's
Nothing
supposed
but
to
rain.
rain tomorrow.
Yep.
Looking good.
Crap.
All right, cool. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Then we'll be back next week. Next week's Mobile World Congress, so lots of stuff going on next week. There'll be
Oh,
lots
yeah.
of stuff to share. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.